If Rachel's mother hadn't glanced at the baby monitor that one last time, nobody would have ever known. A wife wanted the aging dog gone now. Her husband refused. They agreed to record the nursery for 7 nights. What the camera caught made it impossible to look away. The dog looked like he was dying. The infant kept crying. And at 3 in the morning, when tiny lungs simply stopped, the truth became undeniable. Hit like and subscribe so you don't miss stories like this. Drop a comment. Tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. It had been building for weeks, but that Tuesday morning in the kitchen, that's when it all came apart. "I'm done, Marcus." Rachel's hand shook as she poured her coffee. The mug clattered against the counter. "Bear needs to leave. I already called my sister. She's taking him Saturday." Marcus didn't look up from his laptop right away. When he did, his face had gone hard. "You called who?" "You heard me." "Rachel, you can't just—" "Look at him." Her voice cracked. "Just look." In the corner, Bear, their 12-year-old German shepherd, was barely breathing on his ratty old bed. The black and tanned fur around his mouth had gone completely gray. He didn't even lift his head when they argued anymore. Marcus pushed his chair back. "He's old, that's it. We don't throw him out because he's old." "Throw him out?" Rachel's laugh was bitter. "Your sister has 40 acres, other dogs, fresh air. Here, he's wasting away. He can't even make it up the stairs half the time." She gripped the edge of the counter until her knuckles went white. "And he won't leave Liam's door, not for a second. It's not normal, Marcus. All night, every night, just sitting there, staring. He won't eat, won't sleep. He's killing himself, and I can't just stand here and watch it happen." "He's not—" Marcus stood up so fast his chair scraped across the tile. "He's protecting our son. That's what he does. When you were pregnant, remember? He wouldn't leave you alone for 5 minutes. Now Liam's here, and he's confused." The tears came fast. Rachel didn't bother wiping them. "He's an old, confused dog who doesn't understand why there's a screaming baby in this house. He thinks something's wrong. He's stressed out of his mind. Can't you see that?" Marcus's voice went quiet, dangerously quiet. "What I see is that you've already decided. You're not asking me. You're telling me. You want me to sign off on abandoning a family member because it's easier for you." The words landed like a fist. "How dare you?" Rachel's whole body was shaking now. "I haven't slept more than 3 hours straight in 4 months. 4 months. Liam wakes up every 2 hours screaming, and when I go check on him, Bear's already there, just staring into that crib like he's waiting for something horrible to happen. It scares me, Marcus, every single night." "He's protecting him." "From what?" She was shouting now. "There's nothing in that room except our baby and a paranoid old dog who's literally worked himself to death. Last night I found him collapsed in the hallway. Collapsed. We're killing him by letting this go on." That's when Marcus's mother appeared in the doorway. Margaret. She'd been staying with them since Liam was born, helping out. She'd obviously heard everything. "Why don't we try something first?" Her voice was calm, too calm for the moment. They both turned. Margaret walked in slowly, like she was approaching spooked animals. "That baby monitor, the fancy one with the camera, it records, doesn't it?" "Yeah." Rachel wiped her face with the back of her hand. "So, So record the nursery, 1 week. Let's see what actually happens at night. Maybe Bear's just being loyal. Maybe, she paused, maybe there's something else. But let's be sure before we decide. Marcus nodded immediately. Deal. 1 week. Then we talk. For real this time. Rachel looked at both of them. She was so tired. So tired. Fine. 1 week. But if that camera shows an old dog slowly dying over nothing, he goes to your sister's place. That's it. Agreed? Agreed. That night, Rachel turned on the recording function. The little camera mounted above Liam's crib had a clear shot of most of the room. Through the half-open door, you could see Bear's dark shape in the hallway, his head on his paws, eyes fixed on the crib. First 2 nights, nothing. Liam woke up crying at his usual times, 11 p.m., 1 a.m., 3 a.m., 5 a.m. Rachel or Marcus would stumble in, pick him up, feed him, rock him back to sleep. Bear would lift his head each time, watching, but he never came in, just watched, waited, made sure everything was okay before settling back down. Third morning, Rachel was reviewing footage while Liam napped. See, he's just anxious. There's nothing... Wait. Margaret leaned over her shoulder, squinting at the screen. Go back. Night 2, around 2:45. Rachel dragged the timeline backward. There. 2:45 a.m. The nursery was dead silent. Liam sleeping peacefully. But Bear had gotten up, ears forward, body stiff. He took 1 step toward the doorway, then another, stiff but purposeful. Then he just stopped, stared at the crib for maybe 30 seconds, then lay back down. But his eyes stayed open, alert. What was that? Margaret's voice was barely a whisper. Probably heard a car outside. Rachel waved it off. Or a cat. He overreacts to everything now. But Margaret's face stayed troubled. The 4th night changed everything. Rachel was watching the next morning's footage when she saw it. 3:17 a.m. Bear stood up. No hesitation this time. He walked straight into the nursery, something he almost never did, and went right to the crib, moving fast despite the arthritis, despite his age. Liam was on his back, completely still, too still. Rachel's breath stopped. On the screen, Bear lifted his front paws onto the crib's edge, stretched his neck up, brought his nose right up to Liam's tiny face. Nothing happened for maybe 5 seconds. Then Bear started barking. Not normal barking, sharp, insistent, desperate. 3 barks, loud enough that on the recording you could hear Rachel in the master bedroom, her groggy voice calling out, "What? What's wrong?" Then Salmon suddenly jerked. His whole little body spasmed. Then he started crying. That normal, furious, healthy cry of a baby who'd been jolted awake. Rachel watched herself burst through the doorway, run to the crib, scoop Liam up. Watched herself turn on Bear. "Get out! Stop it! Leave him alone!" Her voice sharp with anger and exhaustion. Bear backed away, tail low, head down, slunk back to his spot in the hallway. Watching it now, in the harsh morning light, Rachel's hands wouldn't stop shaking. "Marcus," her voice sounded wrong, hollow. "Marcus, Get in here." When Marcus saw the footage, all the color drained from his face. What was that? What just happened?" "I don't know." Rachel's voice was barely there. "But Liam wasn't moving. I couldn't see him breathing. And Bear." Margaret had been watching over Rachel's shoulder. She spoke very quietly. "Sometimes babies stop breathing in their sleep. It's rare, usually just a few seconds, sometimes longer. Most of the time they start back up on their own." Her pause was heavy, but not always. "It's called sleep apnea. Sometimes it's a warning sign for SIDS." Rachel's face went white. "You think Liam stopped breathing and Bear woke him up?" "I think we need to watch the rest of this week very carefully." They did. Over the next 3 nights, it happened twice more. Each time, Bear knew before any human possibly could. Each time, he went to that crib and barked until Liam startled awake and started crying. Each time, Rachel or Marcus had yelled at him, punished him, told him he was bad. They'd been punishing him for saving their son's life. Morning of the 7th day. Rachel was on the kitchen floor next to Bear's bed. The old dog looked at her with those cloudy brown eyes. She completely fell apart, sobbing, arms wrapped around his neck so tight. "I'm so sorry," she whispered into his fur, her voice breaking. "I almost sent you away. I almost... God, Bear, what if you hadn't been here?" Marcus knelt down beside them. His face was wet. He put his hand on Bear's head, and the old dog's tail thumped once against the floor. Weak, tired. "You knew," Marcus said. His voice was rough. "The whole time you knew something was wrong. That's why you couldn't sleep. That's why you wouldn't leave his door." Margaret made calls that morning. By afternoon, they were at a pediatric specialist. Tests, questions. The doctor watched the monitor footage that Margaret insisted they bring. 3 days later, diagnosis. Liam had sleep apnea. Mild, probably temporary as he grew, but real, dangerous. The doctor prescribed a medical-grade apnea monitor that would sound an alarm if his breathing stopped. "You're incredibly lucky," the doctor said. She wasn't smiling. "Most parents don't catch this until it's already too late. The video footage accelerated everything. How did you know to record?" Marcus looked at Rachel. "We didn't. We were trying to prove our dog was being paranoid. We thought he was the problem." The doctor's eyebrows went up. "Your dog noticed the episodes?" "Every one," Rachel said quietly. "Before we ever could. He'd bark to wake Liam up. We thought he was bothering the baby. We almost..." Her voice failed. "We almost sent him away." The doctor shook her head slowly. "Dogs can detect seizures, changes in blood sugar, even certain cancers. Their senses are extraordinary. He probably heard the change in your son's breathing or detected CO2 buildup. Whatever the mechanism," she paused, "he saved your son's life multiple times." When they got home, Rachel moved Bear's bed into the nursery. Marcus protested, said the old dog shouldn't have to keep working so hard. But Bear was already climbing the stairs, slow, painful, one step at a time, going back to his post outside Liam's door. Rachel brought him water, food, sat down next to him on the floor. "You can rest now," she told him, her hand on his head. "We have the monitor. You don't have to watch anymore." But Bear kept watching anyway. even with the medical monitor beeping every few minutes, even with Rachel and Marcus taking turns sleeping on the floor of the nursery. Bear stayed alert. He didn't trust the machines, only trusted what he could hear, what he could sense. 3 months later, Liam's apnea was completely gone. Doctor confirmed it. Normal breathing, no more monitor needed. The morning Rachel packed away all the medical equipment, she noticed something. Bear was actually sleeping. Not just resting with his eyes half open like he'd been doing for months, actually sleeping, deep, his breathing slow and steady, body completely relaxed. He'd known. Somehow he'd known his job was done, that Liam was safe now. Marcus found Rachel in the nursery that afternoon. Liam was on a blanket, babbling and playing with blocks. Bear was asleep nearby. Rachel was crying again. "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong." She wiped her face. "Everything's right. I just keep thinking, what if I'd sent him away? What if we hadn't listened to your mom? What if we never recorded those nights?" Marcus sat down beside her, watched their son, watched their dog. "But we did. He's here. Liam's safe." "I called your sister," she said. "Told her we don't need her to take Bear. Told her why, too." She cried. "He's not going anywhere. He never was." "He's more than just a pet, Marcus." Rachel's voice was barely audible. "He's Liam's guardian. And I'll spend every day he has left making sure he knows how grateful I am." Bear opened one eye, saw Liam was fine, closed it again. His tail thumped once against the floor before he went back to sleep. Bear lived 2 more years, long enough to see Liam walk, talk, turn into a healthy wild toddler who loved nothing more than laying on Bear's side while he napped in the sun. When Bear died peacefully one autumn morning, just went to sleep and didn't wake up, Liam was inconsolable in that way only little kids can be when they lose their best friend. They buried him in the backyard under the oak tree. Rachel put a small stone marker there. "Bear, guardian, hero, you saved everything." Years later, when Liam was 7, they showed him the footage, all 7 nights. He watched in silence as Bear moved to his crib again and again, barking, waking him, protecting him from something no one else could see. "He saved my life?" Liam's voice was full of wonder. "Many times," Marcus said. "He never stopped, even when we didn't understand, even when we were mad at him. He kept watching. That's what love is." Liam was quiet for a long time. Bear lived 2 more years, long enough to see Liam walk, talk, turn into a healthy wild toddler who loved nothing more than laying on Bear's side while he napped in the sun. When Bear died peacefully one autumn morning, just went to sleep and didn't wake up, Liam was inconsolable in that way only little kids can be when they lose their best friend. They buried him in the backyard under the oak tree. Rachel put a small stone marker there. "Bear, guardian, hero, you saved everything." Years later, when Liam was 7, they showed him the footage, all 7 nights. He watched in silence as Bear moved to his crib again and again, barking, waking him, protecting him from something no one else could see. "He saved my life?" Liam's voice was full of wonder. "Many times," Marcus said. "He never stopped, even when we didn't understand, even when we were mad at him. He kept watching. That's what love is." Liam was quiet for a long time, processing. Then he said something that broke both his parents' hearts. "When I grow up, I want to be like Bear." The dog that wouldn't sleep gave them more than just a saved life. He taught them something about recognizing love when it doesn't look the way you expect it to. What did you think? Would you have kept the dog?
Drop a comment, yes or no. If you liked this story, hit subscribe and leave a like. Thanks for listening. See you next time.